Today we are going to discuss adding and subtracting mixed numbers. The rules for adding and subtracting mixed numbers are as follows. The first is to find the least common denominator of the fractions if necessary. Then we'll rename the fractions if we need to and add or subtract the fractions. After we've added the fractions or subtracted, we add or subtract the whole numbers. Then we simplify if possible. We're going to put these rules to use and add mixed numbers with a common denominator. 7 1/3 plus 11 1/3. First thing we want to do is add the fractions. So 1/3 plus 1/3 is 2/3. And then we add the whole numbers. 7 and 11 is 18. So our answer is 18 and 2/3. When we subtract with a common denominator, we first subtract fractions. 7/9 minus 1/9 is 6/9, and 6 minus 4 is 2. So 2 and 6/9 is our answer, but 6/9 can simplify to 2/3. So 2 and 2/3 is our simplified answer. Now when we add mixed numbers with different denominators, we need to find the least common denominator first. We can't add or subtract fractions that have different denominators, so we want to get the same denominator. In order to do that, we find out the least common multiple of those two numbers. The least common multiple of 6 and 4 is 12. 4 and 5 6 is equal to 4 and 10 twelfths. 3 and 3/4 is equal to 3 and 9 twelfths. Now we can add fractions since they have the same denominator. 10 twelfths and 9 twelfths is 19 twelfths, and 4 and 3 is 7. 7 and 19 twelfths looks like our answer, but 19 is greater than 12. So 19 over 12 is an improper fraction, and we don't want to deal with improper fractions, so let's change it to a mixed number. And the way to change it to a mixed number is to divide the denominator into the numerator. However many times you can do that is your whole number, and the leftover number is your numerator. So 12 goes into 19 once with a remainder of 7. So we put 7 over our denominator, and now that we have a whole number and a mixed number, we can add those, and 7 plus 1 and 7 twelfths is the same as 8 and 7 twelfths. Now we can always check for reasonableness by rounding the number up or down to its closest whole number. So 4 and 5 6 is close to 5, and 3 and 3/4 is close to 4. So when we add 5 and 4, we get 9. So we would expect our answer to be somewhere around 9. 8 and 7 twelfths is very close to 9, so I believe that our answer is reasonable. Now, sometimes we'll need to rename fractions in order to subtract mixed numbers. So when subtracting mixed numbers, sometimes the fractional part of the second mixed number is greater. If this is the case, then you have to rename the first mixed number so that you can subtract the fractional parts. 6 and 1/6 minus 3 and 2/3. First thing we would normally do is subtract fractions. When we go to subtract fractions, we see that they don't have the same denominator. So we find our least common multiple, and that happens to be 6. So we put both of these mixed numbers as mixed numbers with the denominator of 6. 6 and 1/6 is going to be the same because it has the denominator of 6 already, and 3 and 2/3 is going to be 3 and 4/6. So now, since they have the same denominator, we can go ahead and subtract fractions. But when we go to do that, we see that 1/6 minus 4/6, the first number is smaller than the second number, so that's a little strange. This is where renaming comes into play. We're going to rename 6 and 1/6 as 5 and 7/6, and then we now have numerators that we can subtract. So we go ahead and subtract the fraction, 7/6 minus 4/6 for 3/6, and 5 minus 3 for 2. 2 and 3/6 simplifies to 2 and 1/2, so that's our final answer. Now I know some of you are probably thinking, hey, how'd you rename that fraction? Well, 6 1/6 is really 5 1/6 plus 1. And 1 is really 6 over 6. So then 5 1/6 is this, so 6 1/6 is now the same as 5 1/6 plus 6 over 6, which is equal to 5 7/6. So renaming fractions is figuring out what this is actually equal to. And this is actually equal to a number that's 1 less plus 1, where 1 is equal to the denominator. The denominator is going to be the same as the numerator, so that 6 over 6 is equal to 1.